Nigerian. Okay, so this project's actually for two categories of participants. We have a program for staff and we have a program for students. So since this is the staff briefing, we'll just focus on the staff elements in the program. The program for staff, stimulating sustainable entrepreneurial thinking in sciences. You know, across, at least in Nigeria and across Africa, there are some, we would say, peculiar challenges with academics. This particular program is a place-based program, meaning that the context of the program is very important. The context of the program is very important. If we take the Nigerian context, the typical Nigerian academic tends to perform three main functions: research, teaching, and community service. We'll find that some people, perhaps they are more research oriented. They absolutely love to do research. They might not be so keen about engaging with students. In fact, for some people, teaching is a distraction. They just want to get the course over with and move on to their research. They want to concentrate on research. Then you have some academics who are more teaching inclined. They are very at home with teaching. That engagement students gives them the thrill. The only reason they do research is because research is a requirement. Then you have some people who are actually more inclined to community service, meaning that they are at home with doing community projects, appearing in the public, whether it's media, doing consulting and things like that. But there's a challenge with Nigeria, being that across these three levels, the typical Nigerian academic is dissatisfied. We are trying to do research. What we find is you have to use your time, your energy, and your money to carry out the research. You use your time and your energy to prepare the report. You then use your own money to publish the report. Given the importance of research to the progression of the academic in Nigeria, that becomes a problem, especially in today's economy. The academic that is inclined towards teaching will tell you that large class size is the problem. Students are unserious. They're always on social media and all that and all that. Everybody is complaining. The one that wants to do community service does not know how to get into the community. Perhaps the person wants to appear on TV, does not know how to make that move. So across, people are dissatisfied, but the underlying dissatisfaction across all levels is the typical financial lack of satisfaction. So everybody is looking for money in today's economy, and Nigeria is peculiarly problematic. You know, right now, an academic that is earning, even if you're earning 500,000 as salary, what you could buy with 500,000 last week, you can't buy this week. In fact, what you could buy with 500,000 yesterday, you cannot get it today. So where does this program come in? What we require to move us from point A to point B, if you're going to make any changes, if you're going to have any difference, is that we'll need to retool our minds to think differently and act differently. This program, like Dr. Ogden said, is a very flexible program. It's completely virtual, even though some tasks may require physical involvement. But the delivery itself is a virtual program. It's very flexible, so you can do it at your own pace. But why is it important to have full participation? Unlike your typical Nigerian programs, and I'm saying typical because we have attended several programs and we know how these things work. You go for a typical program, they talk and talk and talk. They tell you it's a workshop, but at the end of the day, it's really a talk shop. So they come up with very nice ideas, nice, discussions, but that's really where it ends. You'll find out that 3 months down the line, the percentage of people that have implemented anything from that program may be less than 10%. I mean, 10% is even very magnanimous. Typically, you just bump into somebody and you're talking, oh, that program was very fantastic. The facilitator was great. And oh, it is all talk, no action. This program is very different. Everything about this program is activity-based. So this program actually is designed in 3 phases. The first one has kicked off already. The first one is the pre-intervention phase, where we're having to sort all the participant data, know who and who is in the program, do some screening, which we will do at some point, and do a pre-intervention evaluation. Because if you're going to measure impact effectively, we must know baseline, and then we know the finishing line after the intervention. So we're going to have that in the pre-intervention phase. In the intervention phase is where we will now deliver the program. That will last for 2 months. The pre-intervention is 2 months, the intervention is 2 months. The intervention phase is where we'll engage. It's a whole 8-week period of activity. We will discuss the issues. We will discuss ideas. But more importantly, immediately we finish discussing, the actions begin. So it's not a case of the hearing with the ears. Competence comes by doing. After the intervention, we'll get into the post-intervention phase. In the post-intervention phase, we're going to have 3 series of post-intervention evaluation. We're going to have an immediate post-intervention evaluation, which helps us to benchmark against the pre-intervention data to measure performance improvements, what has changed because of the intervention. In the next month, we are going to have an intermediate post-intervention evaluation, which allows us to assess in depth the changes that has occurred. It's not enough, for instance, to say, yes, there was changes, people improved, they are now doing this and they're now doing that. We also want to understand what accounts for very fantastic cases, what might explain some people, perhaps, if they didn't do as well as some other people, and some other dynamics. All that we'll do in the intermediate post-intervention evaluation phase. In the 7th month after that, we're going to then have a delayed post-intervention evaluation, where we will then assess again to determine whether the impact we have made is sustainable. You can finish your program. People seem to have improved. People seem to have done well. Their lives have been transformed. The question is, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, can that improvement be sustained? Will the change be sustained over time? Will they be able to continue what you're doing? So it is very important to us that that impact is sustainable. So we're then going to have another evaluation at that phase before we do the final wrap-up. So that's how the phase will go. Now, again, to measure impact effectively, it's not enough to say people improved between the time they started and the time they ended. Otherwise, it could be questioned, what if it is actually not your program that brought about that improvement? Correlational factors may come into play, and correlation is not causation. So the only way we can categorically say that it was our program that brought about the impact is for us to be able to benchmark against a control group. Therefore, for this particular pilot, we will have an intervention group and a control group. Some people will be in the intervention group. Some people will be in the control group. But not to worry. The people that are in the control group for the pilot, the measuring of impact is particularly for the pilot. The people that will be in the control group for the pilot and others who may not be able to get into this phase of the program will still have the opportunity to take the program in another phase. So everybody that has been nominated eventually will take the program. Everybody will have the opportunity to get this program. But for now, we need to be able to prove beyond reasonable and unreasonable doubt that the program works. And so that is why the pilot is designed this way. Next is, how do we move with the participants? We have asked your various universities to provide us with a list of 80 staff. For the pilot in particular, roughly, based on certain parameters, which we need to abide by, they are part of the design, they are part of the requirements. Roughly about 40 of you will participate in the first phase, which is the main pilot. The others will join the second phase. Out of the 40 of you, 30 will be in the intervention group and 10 will be in the control group. The administration of those groups will be different so that the experiment goes neat and everybody is abiding by their own codes. Everything runs smoothly so we can get our data clean. So that's very important. But like I said, even if you find yourself in the control group for now, you will still get the program eventually. So what does the program look like? In the 8 weeks for the intervention, the content will spread across different domains. Primarily, we are looking at a basic introduction to entrepreneurial thinking. We are looking at opportunities to think and act entrepreneurially. We are looking at resources to take action on our entrepreneurial thinking. Why is this important? I started with the typical problems, quote unquote, with the Nigerian situation. But even in this situation, people are making headway and people are doing great things. It is not enough for somebody who is research inclined to haven't spent time, efforts, and money to create a great paper, publish it in a journal that only the people in your own department know about. You have a solution that can benefit society. But the person that needs that solution, the person that can fund your solution to become viable, to become applicable, to become useful for society, you don't know the person. The person is looking for you, but you don't know the person. So what do we do in this program? In the first week of this program, we are looking at exploring areas of entrepreneurial thinking. Now, entrepreneurial thinking is not the same thing as becoming an entrepreneur. No, they're not necessarily the same thing. This program is not designed to convert academics into entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is just one of the many expressions of entrepreneurial thinking. Typically, the entrepreneur will naturally have to think entrepreneurially. We'll have to be a go-getter. We'll have to be innovative. We have to constantly find ways to navigate difficult situations. It's always focused on the fact that there's a solution to every problem. These are the kind of things that make somebody entrepreneurial. You don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur to be entrepreneurial, but you can decide that that is one expression that you would want to explore. So in the program, we are presenting about a dozen options that you can pick from based on what is available within the Nigerian context, what is easy to work with within the Nigerian context, what will be easy to explore within that 2 months of intervention. Remember that it's a fixed period of time. So whatever we are delving into must be something that we can start and be able to measure to a large extent within that 2 months. So you have a dozen options to explore, whether you are research-oriented or you're teaching-oriented, you're community service-oriented, there is a way you can be entrepreneurial with your own area of interest. For instance, somebody who is research-oriented, who says that you cannot do your research, not with your own money, but with somebody else's money? People have money to give, and people are getting that money. Why are you not getting part of the money? This program will help address that. So you can get international funding for your research. And that is even a win-win, because the Nigeria of today, if you are looking at the FX issue, if you're earning one way or the other, whether through grants or through some kind of partnerships that pays you in dollars. It really will not concern you whether dollars is 5,000 naira to the naira. You're making your money, you're smiling to the bank. And there are people smiling to the bank, even in this economy, as academics. So you can get internal funding to do your research, so you don't have to use your money. You finish doing your research. Beyond putting your research in a journal that only you know about, you have your findings are fantastic. In fact, they're earth-shaking. They can solve all the problems in Nigeria. Nobody knows about it except the people in your department or maybe your faculty. At the most, it's people in the university that knows you. Beyond that, nobody knows who you are. So you can decide, okay, you know what? I'm going to communicate my research beyond this point. I want the whole world to know who I am. So I want the whole world to see my solution. There are ways to communicate research beyond that small cocoon so that you become more relevant. People recognize your authority as a researcher. Those are ways to think entrepreneurially. You've communicated your research. Who said that your research cannot become a patent? People are there looking for things to fund. People are looking for who to partner with to create products. Who says that shouldn't be you? Let's say you are teaching oriented. Who says that you cannot be the one inviting industry experts, collaborating with industry experts to make your class super exciting, coming up with innovative ways to deliver to your students, so that we leave the situation of a lecturer comes to the class, he talk and talk and talk, doing conceptual clarification and definition of terms, some boring things here and there. Who cares? Whether you are science-based or non-science-based, that's STEM or non-STEM, because you have different categories in this program, you can explore innovative ways to transform your classroom experience if you are ready to start thinking entrepreneurially. Who says that beyond the school environment, you cannot be the one that they are calling, they are consulting to handle workshops for big organizations, including international programs? Who says? Say you are community service oriented. Again, there are myriads of options. There are many things you could do. Who says, for instance, that you shouldn't be the go-to person for any reputable media company in Nigeria, that when they want to discuss a hot topic, they cannot conclude that discussion without inviting you? Who says that you cannot be the one implementing social projects within communities? In our heart of hearts, we know the things that we truly want. The question is, how do we get what we want? So in that first week, we're exploring options, ideas here and there, things that we can do to begin to allow us think and act entrepreneurially. In the week 2, having identified what the possibilities may be, we then begin to narrow things down. So what are the opportunities in front of us? The typical academic would see a problem. An entrepreneurially thinking academic would see opportunities. For instance, rather than sit down and complain about cost of publishing, cost of research, do something about it. That is what this program is designed to do, to teach us what to do. The people that are winning grants, they don't have 10 heads. If there is a system to it, we can learn the system too. If we are supposed to, make our classrooms more interactive, more innovative, there are things that we can do. Rather than see your large class as a problem, your large class can be a resource, an opportunity for you to do something interesting. Something that can not just position you as a true leader, as a true impactful person, but also profitable. You have academics who feel that, who will tell you that, they're mentoring students, or these are my mentees. If the student does not recognize you as mentor, by virtue of your impact in their lives, by virtue of your transformational way of teaching, then you are simply giving yourself title. Forget it. So in week 2, we'll be doing all of that. Week 3, we'll then explore beyond. Now we are looking at understanding who you are. You have been able to see the issues around you, convert those problems to opportunities. The question then is, what do you do with those things? Part of the reasons some academics are unable to live the life that they truly want is because of the lack of certain skills, certain competencies, certain attitudes that are required. So in this week, we are exploring deep. Who are we? What are our strengths? Nobody needs to know everything. Nobody needs to be able to do everything. Nobody can be that kind of person, which is the reason why collaboration is key. Nobody becomes a super organization or a super visionary and runs alone with that vision. Everybody needs somebody. As an academic, we need somebody to help us to become what we want to be. But that person also is looking for us. So what skills do we have? What is our current situation? How do we look at our current position as academics? And what do we see for the future? In week 4, we will begin to explore resources. Now, there are different dimensions to resources when it comes to entrepreneurial thinking, because the question is, we are at this point, but we want to go to this place. How do we move there? There are people that have money to fund the things we want to do. How do we connect with them? How do we collaborate with them? There are people that can come with various resources, not just money, but skills, competencies, because like I said, nobody as an individual becomes an institution that is strong enough. Everybody needs somebody. So you have your own areas of strength, which we have identified in the previous week, and then you're able to identify, who do I need? What do I need? So all of these resources, we begin to navigate. Now, there are different kinds of resources. First, we're looking at human resources. In this particular week, we're looking at strategic partnerships. Within your disciplinary field, you can have strategic partnerships. Across disciplinary fields, you can have strategic partnerships. You can have strategic partnerships across geographical regions. Good enough, in this program, we are bringing together everybody in the same space. So nobody has an excuse to say, I don't know somebody from the northern part of the country. I don't know somebody or from the southern part of the country. In fact, we have people on the program from outside of Nigeria. Apart from the workshops that we're going to be having, the videos we're going to be watching, we have a support system made up of coaches. This program has been deployed in other places. There are people that have gone through this program. They have excellent results to show, and we have them in this program presently to provide support to our participants. So if at any point you have a question, you have an issue, you're not sure, you feel stuck, you don't know what to do next, you need some clarity, we have a support system for you. So week 4, we are looking at strategic partnerships. Who says that as a researcher, all the people in your research team should be Nigerians? Why not collaborate with somebody outside of Nigeria? But you need to know how. In the next week, week 5, we are looking at another dimension of resources, this time around, students. Now, it's very instructive because especially for some academics who feel that students are a distraction. Whether your students are undergraduates or postgraduates, every student can be a resource to you if you know what to do with that person, because everybody has value. The problem, the mistake a lot of academics make is that they see students as an obstacle, they see students as a distraction, or they see students as somebody that they should use. Let's take a typical postgraduate student, a PhD student. It's common to find that the supervisor would say, oh, I am mentoring the students. But does the student feel mentored, or does the student feel used? The point is, that student is a resource, but because of the way we treat them, in their minds, they are just counting the days and waiting for when they will end that relationship. This is somebody who should have been a resource to you for life. Their supervisor-supervisee relationship that have lasted for years, and it's mutually benefiting. Both of them are enjoying it, making money. So if we are still in that category, who feel that we should use students or harass students, victimize students, they are the ones shooting themselves in the feet, because you don't know what is in front of you. People are looking for resources, but resources have been brought to you, but you don't know what to do with that. If your students are undergrad, even year one student can be a resource to you. The student that you feel that they are lazy, they're always on social media, can be a resource to you. If you have an exceptionally tech-savvy student, but you don't know what to do with that person, that is a problem that we need to address in this program. So these are the things that we can be exploring. How to collaborate with students. Recognize students as a resource, because that's what it is. We need to be able to see beyond the surface, see a problem as an opportunity. The second dimension to working with students, or thinking and acting entrepreneurially when it comes to students, is our impact on their own lives. It's not enough for an academic to say, okay, so I attended that program, it was fantastic, my life has changed, now I'm doing things, I'm everywhere, people now know me globally, they call me from everywhere, I'm smiling to the bank. How about the second aspect of the work of the academic, which is teaching? Should that suffer? If we are able to impact students, we can have that spiral effect, such that our own entrepreneurial thinking, we can transfer that to the students. So we no longer keep graduating people who come out and they are clueless, they are directionless, they don't know what to do, they have just gone through school, attending lectures, which they feel is useless to their lives. The popular slogan, school is scam, is coming from somewhere. But we can correct that in Nigeria using this program. So while we are retooling our own minds for our own personal benefit, we are also positioning ourselves to be entrepreneurially directing ourselves to students, to transmit that same virtue to them, so that everyone can be on the same page, working in the same way to transform the system. In the next week, which is the final week for resources, then we'll be looking at money. For everything we want to do, resources are important. Some resources do not require money. For instance, nobody knows you beyond your university, because in the global space, you have not presented yourself. There are free, money-free, completely money-free opportunities to be seen, to increase our influence, to increase our impact, to increase our visibility, so that we are not just going out there to find what we want, we are also positioning ourselves to be found. Very good example, LinkedIn. If you heard the kind of testimonies people have given about how they met opportunities just by being visible, to be found by who is looking for them. Remember I said, we are looking for people to help our destiny, because there are things we want to do that we need people to help us with. But those people are also looking for us. Until and unless we position ourselves to be found, that problem exists, will persist. So you have academics who perhaps have opened LinkedIn accounts 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Their CV is 10 pages, 15 pages, 20 pages, powerful CV. In fact, if anybody from the industry sees that CV, they are looking for you, they want to collaborate with you to do something. If one senior professor from a foreign university sees that CV, in fact, oh Lord, but only you are looking at your CV in your computer. Nobody knows, only you. You go to their LinkedIn profile, all you will see there is name and one line, lecturer, so and so university, full stop. How will the world know how great you are when you are hiding in the corner, in obscurity? That one does not cost money. But there are some other things that you might want to do that will require money. Research would require money. You want to translate it to a product, it will require money. You want to execute a social project in the community, it will require money. So in this week, we are looking at resources, financial resources. How do we meet the people that have the money to give? Because there are people that have the money and they are giving the money, and some people are getting the money. No jokes about it. It is high time we leave all this aluta continua, running after federal government, in allowance, kakiri, 50-50 cobalt things. There is money where there is money. It is absolutely unwise for somebody to be earning 200,000, 300,000 in today's Nigeria. And you're still looking for how to use, half of that money to do research. It shouldn't be. So how do we get international grant funding? Grants, money to do different things. People have the money. How do we meet them? How do we locate them? How do we position ourselves? How do we find them? Is what we'll be exploring in week 6. In week 7, because all through we have been doing activities. Like I said earlier, it's you finish the talk, you understand the talk, you go and take action. You go and take action immediately. And every week comes with its own series of actions. So if for whatever reason, you might not have finished what you want to do in week 1, week 2, week 3, whatever it is, you have week 7 to complete that. Because whatever we are doing within the 2 months must be measured immediately. So you have that week to wrap up, to do everything, so that in week 8, we can then do a review. How far have we come? What have we achieved? And how do we move from here? Going forward is very critical. For some people, they learn something and they forget it because there is no plan for moving forward. So that week is actually a very critical week, because once the intervention ends, there's no longer engagement. No coach is there to support you. You are now fully on your own. The question is, have you learned enough to be able to take personal agency, to continue on that track, to continue the things that you have now learned to do beyond the intervention? The way the weekly activities are structured, we're going to have 3 online workshops. They're going to have 3 online workshops where you have engagements. The first week, the 4th week, and the 6th week. For the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th week, we're going to be watching videos, engaging with materials, because we have so many of them. But you always have your coaches to provide support. There's always a platform to get across to whoever you need to help out on the program. On the program, we have participants from 14 universities. Yes, 14 universities across the 6 geopolitical zones and the FCT. So technically, we categorize them as 7 regions. And there are 2 universities in each region. We have a main university and a proximity university. So you have the opportunity to interact across universities, across regions, and across the continent. Our resources, our support system, they are from all over Africa. So all of that will be available on this program. The most important thing is full participation so that we get the best of it. You know, like we say, opportunities come to everybody. May we take advantage of an opportunity in the lifetime of the opportunity. Nigeria has not seen anything like this. There are programs every day, there are programs everywhere. But the way this program is designed, every person that is privileged to be on this program, to take this program, I can assure you, you will see changes that you have not imagined. We are looking forward to the whole exercise, and hopefully by the end of the data collection, now this is extra, By the end of the data collection, the participants that have done so well, still have the opportunity for even more. Why? This is a pilot. We are already working towards the main rollout across Nigeria. Is going to be massive. So these pilots, apart from delivering this program and having people benefit from this particular pilot, we're also using this pilot to recruit. Because for the larger rollouts, we will need more hands. So the people who do excellently in this program will be able to join our fellowship program of coaches and mentors that will join us for the main rollout. And that is a paid job. So I encourage everyone. This is a turning point for Nigerian academics. I hope you can take advantage of it. Thank you.
Thanks so much. That's absolutely fantastic. Guys, can we like appreciate Doc if it's some nice emojis of clapping and shaking? That would be very, very nice. She's done an amazing job to give a sense of the overview of what to expect on this program. I want to apologize as well. I just realized actually we should have done this program on Microsoft Teams. And we just realized that actually there's a participant list limit to what we are doing right now. So we've been seeing lots of requests on the different WhatsApp groups. So we do apologize. Everything you've heard has been recorded, and we would share the link of recording to everybody. But next time, because this is just the first briefing, we're going to have several briefings like this. The next one will be held on Microsoft Teams, where there is no limit whatsoever. So I do apologize on behalf of the project for that. Very, very sincere apologies. So what I want to do is just to give an open room to folks who would like to ask questions. And by the way, questions doesn't complete or finish today. You can just pop in any question on your WhatsApp group. I can assure you somebody will respond to you at least within 30 minutes, because all the WhatsApp groups has been connected into a community. So whatever you post your WhatsApp group, somebody in the project management team will respond to you. So if you can respond, ask questions here, please keep it handy and ask it, because it's also a good way for everybody else to learn from the answers of those questions. I know it feels like a bit of information for everybody, too much information, but don't worry, it's just the beginning of a process. And I'm hoping that, like she said, as we progress in this program, there's a potential for massive impact and everybody gets to begin to change their mindset towards thinking entrepreneurially. On that note, let me just leave the room very briefly. If you have any questions at all, can you just pop it in this chat? Or if not, maybe as a good way, so we can wrap it up and let allowance for other people, you can just leave any question you have on the WhatsApp group and somebody will respond to you. So everybody else can learn from that question. Is that okay? So if there are any questions, just leave it on the chat. Operational questions, curriculum questions. Today was just a very high level overview, but all the different nitty-gritties of making it happen. We still have the whole of March for all those to happen, because the project doesn't start until the 1st of April. It's very flexible. Like I told you, you can do all your coursework and still have this program running alongside. You can do whatever you want and run alongside. All the exercises are structured such that you can deliver the exercises in time. It's only that the difference is that it is not the program where, or like many other programs, where you learn everything you've learned before you start performing what you've learned. This is different. This one, you learn by doing. So that means you are doing as you are going. So for example, an exercise in the program, I can tell you categorically now, will be as a way to increase your capacity to communicate your research outputs to a larger audience. Because right now, the only way you communicate that is through research papers. But who reads those papers? Only academics like yourself. So an exercise would be, take your last paper, write a 100-word blog and post it on LinkedIn for a non-science audience. That's all. And you tag your coach, tag a university. And the idea is that opens you up to new ways of communicating the amazing things you do, because we live in a big world where there are many entrepreneurs, company holders, policy organizations who want to engage with your research. But if their only mode of communication is through research papers, well, they can't engage. So that would be an example of an exercise on the program. Another example would be, how many people in this program, write me on this Zoom call, can list for me the top 5 organizations that give funding in their field? Most people don't even know who gives funding in your field. And the question is, how can you be looking for money and don't know who gives money? So a simple exercise would be, write a small document of the top 10 organizations that give funding in your field. Tell us when they give funding, why they give funding, who they give funding to. Is getting you to go outside your bubble, because all this is what moves you from the average academic to an entrepreneurial one. I can go on and on of the kinds of exercises, but they're all designed to make you begin to see action results. Friends, you're probably wondering, why is Dr. Odon able to tell you this on this program? The reason is very simple. As you see small me so, gentle, humble me like this, I have won in excess of 40 million pounds. I'll say it again, 40 million pounds in research grants in the last 4 to 5 years alone. I don't have 2 heads. So this secret and mystery and revelations will be revealed on this program. There are ways of doing this. These are tested, proven methods of making you get access to resources. In my job, I travel all the time. Some years I do 20 countries, 15 countries. I travel everywhere across Africa. Over 30 countries I cover in Africa. But guess what? The last time I remember paying for international flight or accommodation from my own pocket was over 5 years ago. How? Most of you get invited for research for research conferences, but you never have international flight or money for flight or accommodation. So you don't go for those events. We will show you how to do that. I am a living evidence of how to be a true entrepreneurial academic. That's what this program would show. It is literally never happened in country. This program is being endorsed and funded by the UK government, FCDO, FCDO, Lancaster University, British Council, and even the NUC, because they've seen the impact. It has never happened before. So you are lucky and blessed to be a member of the initial pilot. Are you following me, friends? And like she was saying, after the pilot, people who do a great job and participate fully become paid consultants and coaches for a national rollout. We couldn't go and deliver this to over 260 universities in Nigeria. There are too many. So we were told, let's do a small pilot, and using evidence of data for impact, show it works. And then we can now roll it out across the country. So you are a university academic in your region. So there are only 7 regions, obviously 6 geopolitical regions and Abuja FCT, making 7. Are you following me? But the point is, there are many other universities in your region. So everybody on this pilot automatically becomes the coaches and the mentors who would help in the rollout of the same program to every other staff of every other university in your region. It's powerful, very, very comprehensive. On that note, I want to thank everybody. I was going to make it a very short meeting. Please, let's move all questions to the WhatsApp group. I want to start engaging on the group. So I apologize because of the people who couldn't join us here. So they don't feel left out. Let's move all questions to the WhatsApp group. Somebody will be there to respond to all questions. Thank you so much for joining the call. I want to make it a very short call. We are even past overshot the time. It was supposed to be 45 minutes. On that note, I look forward to engaging with you. And trust me, you're about to have the time of your life. I am assuring you. Hello, hear me and hear me well. You've never seen this before. An academic in Nigeria's life is about to change, and you are that person. Have a lovely evening. God bless you.